On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're taking you to the Upper East Side of Manhattan to visit the beautiful brownstone of Misti Bridges, who decorated it with the help of her friend and interior designer, Rayman Boozer. The home includes 4 wood-burning fireplaces and a beautiful garden. And with an eye for luxurious but comfortable living, Misti and Rayman embarked on creating a home filled with personality, warmth, and colorful decor. Enjoy!
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Rayman.
And I'm Misti. Welcome to my house on the Upper East Side. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I'm Rayman Boozer, and I'm the principal designer of Apartment 48 Interiors.
And I'm Misti Bridges. I'm the client. This is my home, and I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Misti and I met when I had a shop on 17th Street, and she lived above it. So I had a home furnishing store called Apartment 48 for like 18 years, and Misti was one of the customers. Though I didn't remember her, but then when I was featured in Decor, she came in and she asked me if I did interior design. So I helped her with her loft on 17th Street. We renovated that. And then we did a couple of other projects. And then when she found a townhouse, we worked on this together.
The dream had always been to have a townhouse. And so we started looking for a townhouse. And it probably took more than a year to find one. And then once we acquired it, it took 3 years before we could move in.
It felt like longer.
When I saw Raymond's apartment on the cover of Decor and I knew the shop, I thought, well, let's just interview him and see how it goes. And I guess we just clicked.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I think the thing that we have in common is we both love color and we both love to experiment with design. So I think to have a client that's open to trying new things is really rare. Now we're going into the parlor, which is very bright and light, where you have a beautiful piano.
Everybody in my husband's family has a piano. His mother was a concert pianist. My husband plays by ear. My kids mostly play Taylor Swift songs on it now, but it's here, and it's actually a beautiful thing to have right up against the window. We really wanted to showcase it.
I've been designing around this piano for like 10 years now.
Yes, it's
beautiful.
It's moved several times, and it's not easy to move that piano. It takes about 5 very large movers.
It's a great piece. Also, there's a lot of great art. There's this great painting by Yarbi Camarnel. He's a Spanish artist from Spain. But Misti and I, it's interesting, Misti and I go every year to the Affordable Arts Fair and look for art. Almost all the art in this house comes from the Affordable Art Fair. They have really great artists that people don't know about, and this was one of them. Yavi was one of the ones that she really loved. And we actually went back a couple of times looking for more of his work. But I think this is a good one. We got a good one here.
I just like the color, I like the composition, and to be fair, my children think that they could do it, but I know they can't. So, and then I was just drawn to it, and I'm not sure that we were together when I first saw it, and then you came back to see it with me. But Raymond instantly liked it, so I knew it was good.
I liked it right away. The room is like all white, which is, to do a white room for me is really rare. So it needed like punches of color, and I think this gives a punch of color.
Raymond and I have done a lot of projects together. We're both color enthusiasts. He's known as the color guru, I believe. And I really felt like in a turn-of-the-century townhouse, to have a lot of color in the parlor, which is sort of the formal floor of the house, wasn't in keeping with the past of the house. So when I first started, I said, I really want to keep the parlor white, which I knew was going to be a challenge for both of us.
I was against it.
Yeah.
I was against it.
But I really felt strongly about it. But, as you'll walk around and see, while the walls are white, not much else is.
Yeah. It's true. And I think what I decided to do is to take that white and then do like black as like a high contrast and do like black doors, black molding. You'll see like throughout the whole townhouse, all the doors are painted black. And then the kitchen is black. So I think it gives it like a modern feel, but at the same time, it's still like dramatic and unexpected. Well, Misty really wanted a chevron floor, and we tried really hard to find a color that felt natural, but not just like the whitewash thing that everybody's doing now, like white oak.
Well, really what our inspiration was, we both love Parisian lofts,
Yeah.
right? And so we were really looking for that aged, 200-year-old oak Parisian loft floor. And it took about 200 samples. And when Rayman actually, you went to Paris Flea Market, right?
I did.
And he was snapping photos in real time of actual
taking
floors.
pictures of old floors.
And we were trying to then send them to vendors to say, this is what we want.
Yeah, and is it Hudson flooring?
Yes.
They came up with something that worked for her. I was happy with a lot of the other options, but this is what we were looking for.
Well, this is a rubbed oil finish, so it has no polyurethane on it whatsoever. So it's going to age with the home. I felt like any kind of shine felt very American.
Yeah, and very
like nouveau.
Cheesy.
So it was really hard to find something without any kind of shine on it.
Another great piece of art is this Donald Robertson doodle, I guess. I was calling it a painting. It's like a watercolor, right? So anyway, I think Misty found this on her own. So this is another Misty find. But we both love this artist. Like, he does a lot of fashion drawings and stuff like that. And actually got in touch with him on the internet, like on Instagram, and he responded to me. He was so excited that we had this art piece in the magazine.
Yeah, he said, "Where did you get that?" Because
Yeah.
I actually got it at one of my kids' school auctions. And I think somebody had worked for a magazine where he had worked.
Right.
And somehow they had it and they donated it to the charity. So I don't think the artist even knew that this could be in someone's home. And when he saw it in a magazine,
Yeah,
he was quite surprised.
He was really surprised. My favorite thing about Misty is her sense of humor. I think she has a really good sense of humor, and I think when you're doing a renovation with somebody, you have to keep in a good spirit because things don't always go well.
I think my favorite thing about Rayman is, there's so many things, but I think he is a creative genius, but he never loses sight of finishing a project. And a lot of creative geniuses can't get anything done, and Rayman is always very focused on, let's complete this task at hand and not sort of like go off into Never Never Land and think of every single incarnation that we could. He's really focused on, let's do it, let's execute it. I mean, once you hire him to do something, he doesn't sleep for like a week while he already is like churning ideas. Like he needs to get it done. And I really appreciate that.
It's really sweet that you think that. I don't sleep, but I think it's not so much that I'm super focused as I don't like to change my mind. Like, I don't like to change from one idea once I have it. I feel like this is the way we're doing it. It's a vision, and I kind of like stick on it. And I think that's the kind of focus you need to get stuff done quickly. And in New York, people want things done quickly.
Yeah, I will say he changes his mind sometimes.
Now, this is the sitting room and the parlor. We did a really cool sofa from Interlude and 2 matching chairs, also from Interlude. And it was a challenge to find a coffee table that fit this room, because the room, which I said before, I wanted it to be 20 inches, but it's actually like 17 inches, is kind of tight because we still needed to have a walkway behind the sofa. And we found this great coffee table from Arteriers, which I think works really well. It's like 32 inches, right?
And I think we also didn't want to mask the rug.
Yeah.
So we played with sort of like, do we use a transparent here? Do we not? But then everyday life, transparent pieces tend to look very fingerprinty pretty quick. So we're pretty excited when we found this, because it doesn't cover up the rug too much.
Yeah, and the rug is from the Rug Company, which I love, and we've used a Rug Company rug in like every project we've done together. So Misty loves the Rug Company too, and we went together and picked up this rug. And I think it gives that little punch of color that really is necessary in a room that's like all white.
Yes, but it's still subdued for us.
Yeah.
And Raymond gave me this very nice blanket.
Oh, yeah, this Hermes. It was a housewarming gift.
It was a housewarming gift.
I forgot about that. I'm such a giver.
You are a giver.
Also, we had to replace this mantle,
Yeah.
which Misty found this.
Well, to be honest, this is not the one I found. So I ordered one, came from China, was stuck on a boat for COVID for almost a year. When it arrived, by the way, I think they weigh like 800 pounds.
Yeah.
And it didn't fit. And I hired someone to put it together, and he quickly told me this doesn't fit. But he said, but don't worry, I have something that I think would fit. And so he showed me a picture, and I just said, done, let's do it. So we brought it, installed it, and I think it turned out really great.
It's really pretty.
It definitely wasn't like a big plan by mine, and I gave the other one to my contractor who used it somewhere else. I would say in New York, wood burning fireplaces are somewhat rare.
Yeah.
Because many of them have been destroyed over the years or are non-operational anymore, and we have a law that actually doesn't allow you to put new ones in. So if you find one, people get very excited.
Yeah.
I would say definitely that's always a bonus. It wasn't something that absolutely was a must, but this house actually had 4 of the existing fireplaces still intact. So we were really lucky that we got that, and we do use them.
And this mirror is from Anthropologie, which I love. It has a Parisian vibe, which we mentioned before. We love like Parisian things, so something we both agreed on. I found that table at
That's true.
CB2,
Oh yeah.
which I was really excited about,
That's
like a little bit
definitely
of
your
70s.
vibe, your 70s vibe.
I love the 70s, so anything that feels 70s, like I'm 100%. I felt that this room in particular should feel formal because it's like your first like entry into the house. So I thought, since the house is so big, because I've always lived in lofts before, so they just had like one main living area. We could have one living area that feels really formal, like an old-fashioned kind of living room vibe, where people just sit and drink like martinis, you know? And then they have a space downstairs that's more, you know, it's more bohemian, it's more colorful, it's more like relax and let your hair down kind of party room. These lights are from Arteriors, and it was a real challenge because I think initially I wanted to do like a vintage Parisian chandelier. That's why I was at the Paris flea market looking for stuff like that. And I was really pushing that idea. And Misty wanted something a little bit more contemporary. So then I started to search for more contemporary things that felt vintage. So this feels kind of like 50s to me, but it's actually a reproduction by Arteriors. And we decided to do matching chandeliers. You'll see the same thing in the dining room too, because it's really just one big room. And I think it was really hard to find something that felt modern, but at the same time, vintagey enough to feel like it belongs in Townhouse and also be big enough. So before we could order them, we had to make sure they're the right size. So we cut like cardboard templates and held them up to the ceiling to see how it would feel. And it worked out. I mean, it feels like it's always been here now.
Yeah, it does. And we added the
medallions?
The medallions. They're by a company that does replicas that would have been in the house at the time that the house was built. These weren't existing, but we had them shipped here, and then we had to replaster them so that it would look authentic. But yeah, I feel like this was sort of like, I felt like it was important to have a wow moment, especially on the formal parlor level. I also think, as a person that's always just walked around New York City and peeped into other people's townhouses,
yeah,
I always think, oh wow, look at, because you only see the light fixtures at night.
It's true.
And
it's
I just
true.
always feel like that was an important thing for me for owning one.
Now we're in the dining area and the kitchen. It's all like just really connected, like one big space. This table is from Gillian Chichester, who's one of my favorite furniture companies. And the chairs are ethnic craft, which Misty found the chairs.
I love them. My family
She was
doesn't think they're as
very
comfortable
difficult
as-
about getting dining chairs. It was really hard.
Well, I wanted something to tuck in because, again, the width of the house, you don't want something that protrudes from the table too much. Also, the table Rayman found, it was great because it seats so many people, but it doesn't take up very much space because of the shape of it. It's a very exaggerated oval.
It's really nice, and it's like a different kind of like wood, like it's like a bleached oak, so it doesn't like contrast with the floors, and I didn't just want to do marble again because we've already done marble. It's like something new.
Yeah.
And this artwork is by Irene Miame, which Misty discovered her at the Affordable Arts Fair. And we
I'm not sure she's affordable anymore.
we love her stuff. I've used
Yeah.
her stuff in show houses and things, and I'm a big fan. But she does this whole like collage of like Basquiat and Warhols. I mean, you know the artist in this painting, right?
Yeah, well,
There's so many references.
She was for this whole series, she wanted to have a commentary on how modern art is now viewed more from an Instagram perspective or a social media perspective than actually in museums like it was historically. So these are actually images that she took off of Instagram or social media of famous art pieces, and then she collaged them all together. But what's maybe a little tidbit about Irene is that she had this amazing townhouse in Tribeca.
Oh, yeah, we went to a party
Rayman and
there.
I to a party there where there were lots of incredible people. And shortly thereafter, she sold that townhouse to Taylor Swift to use as Taylor Swift's garage.
It was a beautiful
For her
house. She turned
condo, which
into
was
a garage.
attached to the condo building that Taylor Swift lives in New York, is attached to the townhouse. So that beautiful townhouse went away and became Taylor Swift's garage.
It's so funny. I forgot about that. Now we're in the kitchen area of the dining, kitchen, living area. This stove, Wolf, right?
Yes.
You really wanted a Wolf stove. We both agreed on that.
Yes.
So I was really happy about it.
Yes. And this hood took about 9 months because of COVID. That was not exciting.
It was an insane time to renovate.
It was.
COVID was not great. This marble is beautiful. You found this marble.
Well, because quite frankly, Raymond would never go to that many stone yards with me. He
Hey,
used to.
We went to one stone yard and it
used
was
to.
so hot that day that I
was-
thought it was gonna melt.
That was bad. I found it at Bass Stone, B-A-S.
Yeah, we like
It's
Bass
owned
Stone.
by two women, which is, I think, somewhat unusual in the stone world.
It's true. It's turquoise, right?
It's called Calcutta Turquoise.
I love it.
But
I
we
love
wanted
it.
something that had a little bit of color to it.
Yeah, I kind of wanted Arabescato at first, but then like as I started to see more and more stuff, you know, I wanted something that made sense with black. And she found this. I think it's great. It has colors in it that you don't really expect to see in the kitchen.
Yeah, there's actually some purples in it,
Yeah.
even though it's called turquoise. I feel like it reads almost in some places more purple.
It's true. But anyway, this black kitchen turned out to be like a really good idea, I think. I just thought it would be really cool because I thought we were having the black window frames. We were painting all the trim black and the staircase black. And I kept saying, what about a black kitchen? And I showed like gray kitchens, but the architect, he was like, no, I don't like that. I don't want it. And I'm like, I really think this is the right thing to do. Like sometimes I'll get an idea and I just can't let it go. And this was one of those times when I knew it was like the absolute right thing to do. And so we tested it, right? And
We had mock-ups done by the architect, like 3D modeling done. I showed it to every person I knew, my
Yeah.
real estate agent, my old interior designer, like the foreman on the job.
they
Like
all said no.
No, a lot of people said yes, but all those people said no. But yeah, but in the end, I think the mock-ups really helped me. It's just hard when
Right.
everyone is telling you no, and
Yeah.
Raymond's the only one telling you yes.
It's true.
The mock-up really pushed me over the edge. And I
But-
thought, you know what? Whatever. If it doesn't work out, someone can refinish it white if they want.
It's true, but you know what the thing is everybody kept saying it was going to be too dark. But the room is not dark at all. I mean, it's so bright. And I
Right.
think that the black just kind of recedes. And then you have the view is like the star, you know? It's just like a really pretty room.
Every design of the kitchen originally by the architect never had a central island. It was always sort of a peninsula or
Yeah.
just a U shape. And I understand why he envisioned it that way because that's the best. That's the best use of sort of the space in his view when you have, you know, a narrow townhouse. But Raymond, I felt very strongly that something should be horizontal
Yeah.
versus vertical, which is how you normally encounter things in New York City townhouses. So
Yeah.
we agree that this should come into play.
Because this room is actually, it's longer this way than like this. So like turning this made sense and that's what he kept drawing. But I was like, I really don't want it that way. I want this perspective when you walk in the door to see the kitchen and then you see outside and it all kind of flows. And I was right this time, right?
Yeah.
We also did this really cool thing where we mitered the marble to make this look thicker. So it looks like a really thick piece of marble, but it's actually like a mitered piece where you do a 45-degree angle and
Yeah.
It looks like a really thick piece of marble, which I think is more dramatic.
It is. And we wanted to do that consistently throughout. You actually end up, it's very tricky with dishwashers actually, because dishwashers are made to a certain height.
Yeah.
And they won't fit under a thicker marble slab. So we had to be very specific. So this is slightly thicker than what we did on the countertops because of the dishwasher issue.
Yeah, because we have 2 dishwashers
Again,
in this kitchen.
another like sort of design, right, idea, but then when the architect looked at it, said, that's gonna be a problem with dishwashers. Oh, we have 2 that are here. Remember, they're paneled. It's the only thing that I agreed to panel.
So you don't have to see them.
I agree,
It's a
especially
secret.
because we had 2, it was gonna be too much. Townhouses traditionally don't get a lot of light on the first 2 floors. So the idea, I think when people modernize them, they tend to take the second floor and really open it up.
Yeah.
So this required a lot of structural engineering, a lot of work by the contractor to get this. This originally was a very small door and 1 very small window that was in a bedroom.
I think like we did a lot of recessed lights in this house because at some point you need that, like when you want it to be daylight, because townhouses are traditionally really dark. So they're like a trillion lights in the ceiling, but they're not always on. But you have the opportunity to like dim the lights or do ambient light if you want to. But you also, if you need it to be bright, it can be really bright. Now we're gonna go downstairs to the garden, but first let me tell you about this wallpaper. We showed Misti like 100 wallpapers to get her to agree to choose something, and she wound up choosing a wallpaper which is the same fabric that I have in my sofa in my apartment.
Yeah.
This
Okay,
is
so can I say this?
Yeah.
He showed me a bunch of wallpapers, as he always has to. And I kept coming back to this, and he didn't say a word to me about it being his sofa cushion. And I said, I don't know why, I'm just so drawn to this. I just love this wallpaper. And I'm not even sure when you admitted to me it was your couch.
After
but
we
then I
ordered
realized,
it.
like, oh, that's why. I mean, not that I didn't love your couch always, but I
Yeah.
think it was always in the back of my mind, like, this is very familiar to me. I really think this is a great wallpaper.
Yeah.
But then it ended up, yes.
Yeah, it's a Roma wallpaper, and I had this fabric on my couch, and I think she just probably remembered it and didn't realize it. And I was like, should I say something? I was like talking to Kevin, like, should I tell her? And
I
he's
know.
like,
I don't even remember when I found out.
But it works, right? And it ties the room together with the rug and everything. And it transitions really well to the garden. I wanted to wallpaper the whole house. So, yes. It was always an idea to wallpaper this wall of the stairs. And it's a lot of wall because it goes all the way down to the garden. So economically, we had to find something that price-wise worked too. We had a couple other wallpapers that were really pretty, but very expensive.
Yeah.
And
I think we tend to do wallpaper in entries.
Yeah.
This leads down to the next level's entryway.
Yeah.
So I think that always gives us the drama of when you first enter a home. I've had more UPS men comment on this wallpaper than you would imagine. For some reason, every
Yeah.
time the UPS man comes, he's like, I love that wallpaper.
I love that. I love it when the workers notice stuff because that's when you know you've done a good job.
Right.
And also this art piece, which I found in Provincetown when I was on vacation, and I sent Misti pictures of this guy. His name is Jeff Lee. He does these things that say different words, and he did a custom piece for her. She came up with the idea of Fearless, and he made a custom piece for her. And I think I brought this back with me.
Yeah,
I
you
brought it
did.
back from P-Town.
Yeah, I never even saw it until
Yeah.
I was here. And I remember we went back and forth about the words. And I think you helped with the word, but
Yeah.
we decided that it was this originally was in a different apartment.
Yeah.
And it was near the entryway and we said, it's gonna hang in the entryway. Should be something like as you leave the house that like inspires you to walk out into the world, and that's
Yeah.
how we did it. And my children to this day think that's the cheesiest thing they've ever heard. But that's kind of what
They
we're
don't
thinking.
get it. I have
know.
one in my apartment. It says love, but she thought that was too cheesy. Plus, we needed something like long and vertical.
Right.
But I think Fearless, it's a good mantra. Now we're on the garden level.
And this piece I've had for a really long time. It was by a Texas photographer named Gray Mallon, which no one had ever heard of when I bought this piece. But he's now blown up and he has puzzles and
Yeah,
hoodies
he's-
and everything else you can imagine. But It appealed to me because my husband's from Texas, I'm from Alabama, and a photograph that he staged with cowboys looking at the Prada installation in Marfa, Texas. And it just spoke to me. I'm a huge fashion lover, and being from the South and my husband being from Texas, I just thought it was really kind of funny to have these cowboys looking at this Prada installation.
And I always loved it too because I love Prada. Another fun at the Affordable Arts Fair is this like photograph by Richard Heaps with like a pile of Barbies and a car.
It's a little indecent. We thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, we both loved it.
Better way to welcome somebody than to show them. And now we're coming into the den. This is sort of like our TV room, our lounge space, sort of where we chill out, if you will.
Family room. Yeah, this room was challenging because this is the area where the kitchen was down here before, and it was really dark. So we just decided to lean into the darkness and paint everything the same color, which is Excalibur by Benjamin Moore, and just like do the ceiling, the walls, the woodwork, everything the same color. And then like layer on color. And then this room, I feel like I got to do my typical like color on color, pattern on pattern theme.
Yeah.
Which I love.
I feel like we thought, you know, this is one of those things where everybody says, oh, you should try to make it as bright as possible. You should paint everything white, bright white. And we just said, you know what, it's never going to be a bright room. So why not lean into the chill factor? Like, let's just like chill it out. Right. And I always think with these curtains, I feel like this is like the modern like Elvis jungle room.
Yeah, I like that vibe. I think this is like one of those rooms where you go down into the basement and it's like everybody's surprised how like bohemian and wild it is. These curtains are by this Australian artist, Carrie Brown from Sydney. She is so talented, and we use a lot of her wallpapers and projects and stuff, and I've been showing her stuff to Misty for a while, and she really loved this pattern, but it was really tiny. It's a mural, and you really can't see everything that's going on, but some of it you probably shouldn't. But you see there's like a little bit of like partial nudity, but not really. But it wasn't working for her on the scale that it was, so we had Carrie blow it up to like a larger scale so that it all became like more abstract. And we had these curtains custom made by Milo. And Misty insisted that we line the back in green so that when people are outside, they don't see the back of the curtains, which is really smart.
Yes. I can't stand that when you look into someone's home and at night and all you see is that like white lining. Yeah. And I knew because this was an entertaining space that people would be going in and out.
Yeah.
I did not want people to turn around and see that white lining.
Yeah.
So, and I like that we picked green. I'm not sure that we thought about it, but it really makes sense outdoors.
Yeah, I thought about it.
Okay.
I did.
Score one for Rayman.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it is our family room where we watch TV, but also when we have people over, we actually do cocktails down here pre-dinner, and then we go upstairs for dinner or outdoors. But this is like a really fun room for a pre-dinner drink.
Yeah, I've never been invited. I did design the bar though. I mean, James and I came up with a bar solution. We did a really cool bar area over here. We picked up this beautiful Nero Marquina marble and great setup for like entertaining. We designed a custom bench, like banquette here with like hidden storage, has doors underneath. And we use this Susie Bellamy fabric. And we did Osborne and Little. Misty and I have a lot in common. We love like Osborne and Little, Trisha Guild, all of those like British designers. So we use a lot of British fabrics and designs in this apartment. Clarence House, Romo on the chairs. It's interesting. It's like a really kind of a sexy room, but at the same time, it's a very friendly room. This photo I found in Provincetown, and I was obsessed with it. It's by Thomas Jackson. And every summer I go to Provincetown for vacation, and I saw this photo in the window of the gallery, and I sent a picture to Misty, and I was like, you have to buy this. And she's like, I don't know.
Even before we were doing this house.
Yeah, even before we had the house. I was like, you have to buy this. It kind of reminds me of her daughters or something. I don't know what it was. But I was like, this is the right thing. And then like 2 years later, we're still working on this house. I go back, and they still had that photo. And I was like, you saw that photo, how much is it? And it was a lot. And I said, Misty, that photo's still here. You have to get it. It's the right thing. Otherwise, I'm going to buy it myself.
Right.
And I convinced her to.
Well, so what happened then was I showed it to my husband. And he said, I don't like it. And I said, oh, okay. And then, so I let it be. And then Raymond kept like pestering me. He was going to leave Rhode Island soon and he needed an answer. And I was like, just buy it and don't tell Steven right now. And what's funny is I never told him. It arrived and it was sort of like I had kind of uncovered it just to see, you know, that it isn't damaged.
Right.
And my husband walked by it and said, wow, that's really cool. So we didn't tell him until probably a year later that they actually had seen this photo and he did not like it and we should not buy it. So I'm glad we did it.
I think it's all about context with people. People don't know what they want, you know? But I think this photo is great, and I love Thomas Jackson. And he actually wrote to me too, like on Instagram, and he was like super happy to see this published.
Oh, really?
Because this had a really nice feature in Art Digest, and people love it.
I think it's great.
Yeah, there's like a little
great.
bit of anxiety in it and a little bit of expectation. It's like really good photography. It's
Oh,
that
right.
Clausen guy.
Yeah, so I met this guy at the Affordable Art Fair years and years ago, and I almost bought a piece by him then, and I didn't. And then years later, when we were doing this, I reached out to the gallery
Yeah.
and said, it's Barry Crowston?
Barry
Costin?
Costin. Yeah,
Barry
Barry
Costin.
Costin.
He's British. And he had a new series coming out. And this series was like, he just drove across America. And he actually told me, I met him after we bought this, and he told me that he was driving, I think, somewhere in Nevada, and this rainstorm just kind of came upon him unexpectedly. And he was driving by this motel. This is not staged at all. And this, you know, truck was here, and the lights on the motel were like reflecting off the rain puddles that had just formed. And he just thought, I have to stop the car right now. I'm taking this photo. So that's actually the photo that he took. He did not manipulate it at all. He said all the colors were exactly like this when he took the photo. So
it's really cool because it looks like it could have been photoshopped. But we both love this.
Yeah.
We both loved it like right away. And it feels like the right vibe because we're both, like I said, from Alabama. So it's like rural, but it has like this like city kind of like, I don't know, like irony?
yeah,
I think it's irony.
yeah.
Because it's sad, but
And it's also got
pretty.
like that 70s vibe too.
Yeah, and 70s, true. I think that this bookcase, for me, is a really important focal point. This room has like really very many focal points, but like everything on these shelves I arranged, you know, but it's all very Misty, like all the color and like collection of books and things. We both love design, both love art, but this is like 100% me. It
Right.
looks a lot like my apartment and my bookcases too. But I have a way of like pulling things together that sort of tell a story. That little photograph, I think it's from Click, right?
I think you gave it to me as a present.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
That was nice.
Maybe I
This is
maybe
by
I shouldn't
Rob
be
Hahn.
reminding you how many
This
things
little
you bought
photo
for
by
me.
Rob Hahn is really great.
So cute.
And he also did a lot of the Marfa Prada stuff, which I have one of his photos in my bathroom of the Prada Marfa little shop.
Yeah.
I like the way he finds things in the desert and like just photographs it and make it like look like art.
I will say, like, Rayman is really good at like curating like new pieces to go with things I already owned. Like, for
Yeah.
instance, like I got this little thing in Morocco, this little painting. This was made by one of my kids when they
Yeah.
were, you know, 4 years old.
And I told you this was perfect to go with this. Like at the faces, it makes sense, right?
Right. It's just, I mean, this is something that I got on my first vacation with my now husband, was my
yeah.
boyfriend. You know, these are just little random things that I owned, and Raymond just has a way of sort of like adding to it and then making it all make sense. And I will say, he has a process, and you're not allowed to be there.
I don't like
when he's
anybody
doing it.
watching me when I'm
He
doing
does not.
it.
I had to leave the house. We had a prearranged date that he said, when are you not going to be home? And that's when he wanted to do the bookshelf.
It's because when you're doing stuff, you're like, why are you putting that there? Like, like no one will see that.
No one would care. He just needs to be alone.
Yeah.
That's what we decided.
That's
So
my process.
That's his process. I think this room was sort of like take color, like everything we restrained ourselves from doing upstairs to make it more formal. We just like let loose in this room. And Raymond and I both just instantly were like, let's just go hog wild. I will say a lot of the colors in here aren't typically ones that you might think all go together. In
Yeah.
fact, my children remind me constantly, like, how does a brown chair go with a blue rug? but it makes sense. But you really had to, like, Raymond
Yeah.
really pulled from all of his color experience to really make this room gel, because I don't think anyone would have thought like the black marble with a gray wall, with a green table, with a brown chair. Like,
it's like a kaleidoscope.
It is very kaleidoscopy.
And you know, it's interesting because neither one of us really like brown, but you needed this kind of brown foil for all of this, like this really punchy rug and everything to make sense. You needed something to like bring it down, but at the same time, it's like velvet, so it's shimmery.
Right.
It just worked. I knew it was going to work. And look at that vase. It works really well with the chairs.
The vase I didn't remember I had until right before this.
It's interesting. Designing for a family is a lot more different than designing for myself, but most of my clients are families. So I think it's easy for me to put myself in a space where I have to think, what do people need? What do people want? Like, what do multiple people do in these spaces? I don't know the answer to that, but I imagine that they need like more than 2 chairs. You know, they entertain. People always say they entertain, so I assume that people entertain. I think considering what the kids want and having things be kid-friendly and pet-friendly is really important too. But I also still feel like I want it to be really pretty. It's really important for me for all my projects to feel pretty, you know, but not like in a trite way, but in a really thoughtful way. And I don't know how to describe what that means, but.
Yeah, Ray would never tell you to use like an easily cleanable fabric on your sofa. And he would say, look, you're not going to keep it forever. Anyway. If the dog chews it up, it's fine.
Yeah, or I'll say something
but
like.
it's true, right? If
Yeah,
I say I'm having a party, I'll say, should I make everybody take off their shoes? And he's like, you're going to make everybody take off your shoes? Like, it's a house. Live in it.
Right. You have to live in a house. I think that's really important. So I do agree with that. But I do think like now there's like more technology, so there's more considerations for like durability and like cleaning and stuff like that. But like in the living room, we did a rug that's not very practical. But I think you have to have that one moment that's really special, you know? So we have this rug company rug and it is part silk. So it's not super, super pet friendly.
Yeah, well, there's been many accidents from the pet on that rug. And I have a great carpet company now as a result.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes.
Do you want to go out to the garden?
Let's go.
Hey, now we're in the garden. This is all new, and I had nothing to do with it, so you can tell us what happened out here.
No, well,
I picked the furniture.
you picked the furniture. You advised on the house, the exterior color.
Oh, yeah, we picked
changed
this
the
paint color.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called wrought iron. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
By Benjamin Moore.
We tried a bunch. This is what stuck. But yeah, I mean, this space was somewhat, like the ivy wall was always here. There was a little bit of a different, like, it was all cobblestone instead of bluestone.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had extensive landscaping renovation, but just to make it a little bit more usable, like there wasn't a lot of space for large furniture, and Raymond and I both really wanted to be able to like entertain out here. So that was really, again, that was something like the landscaper came up with the plan, but I ran it by Raymond to say like, what table fits here? What chairs fit here? Like, should we make this bigger or smaller? You know, that sort of thing before the landscaper, you know, actually went to excavating.
Yeah, yeah, we went out with some great furniture from Williams-Sonoma. Chairs, and then also this like really great dining table where you can seat like a ton of people.
Yeah, so I guess, you know, in New York, you don't get like a lot of green space. And I was used to living in apartments where I had fabulous views of the city. And so I knew coming to a townhouse, there was going to be a compromise of I'm not going to get those vistas anymore.
Right.
So I felt like I really want to see green. Like that's the trade-off. I'm getting a green space for trading off the city skyline views. So I just wanted it to be green. And quite frankly, this garden has been probably planted 4 times over because you have to learn like what will grow here and what will survive. And so, you know, this is probably the 4th incarnation of it. What we found out is hydrangea really love the darkness and the dampness. So we have a lot of hydrangea now. And the begonias are new this year and they seem to thrive as well. So it's more just figuring out what would, you know, we could sustain back here more than, what I sort of envisioned for it.
Yeah, and the most important thing to me was dining table, Because I think why else would you go outside unless you're gonna like eat, you know, like grill and have like entertaining like dinner parties.
So one thing that the house didn't have when we bought it was access from the second floor to the garden. It wasn't necessary because of the configuration of the house then, because the second floor was a bedroom for the bottom tenant. So when Raymond and I decided it was really important that the kitchen moved to the second floor, we wanted to make sure that the kitchen was directly accessible to the garden.
Right.
For cooking, for
You can bring up
dining.
food.
And we didn't want to have to like transverse through the house to get things from the kitchen down here. So we ended up adding a staircase off of the second floor so we have direct access down here.
Because like I go a lot to Amsterdam. I used to go like every year, and they have all these like black townhouses, and I thought that black was a good idea, and I said it to her, Misty, and she said it was a good idea too. So we started just looking at blacks and grays. And you'd walked around the village, right? And you saw like this townhouse that was painted that way, and it was like a specific color, and I had to go look at it.
Yes.
And
I tried to get,
like, that's
I got the
gunmetal.
management company's
Yeah.
information off the door, and I called them to find out if they could tell me the color. They couldn't.
So we tested like 4 colors, and then we landed with this wrought iron by Benjamin Moore.
Yeah. And
Which-
you know, the house gets different light all times of day, so you
Yeah.
really had to like see what it looked like in all light. So my favorite thing is the separation you can achieve in a family. So my teenagers, who don't always want to be spending a lot of time with me, can retreat to their floor, and they're super happy to be up there, and I'm super happy that, you know, that they're up there making the noise that they make and I don't hear it. I think challenging in living here is that it's multiple floors. So someone taught me a long time ago who owned a townhouse. She said, there's a rule, if you walk up a staircase, you must carry something. So I thought it was a really funny thing when she said it, but it is true. Like I will find myself, I put things near the staircase that I know need to leave that floor. And so the next time I'm walking up the staircase, that's my job, is to take it upstairs. So I think that's the most challenging.
Yeah.
I think from the design, it's the width, right?
I think, yeah, it's 17 or 18 inches
20
wide.
feet.
Supposedly it's 20, but then when it was finished, it was like 17,
Well, it's because
right?
you have to, you know, give to the wall.
So like I was excited about the 20-foot wide because I planned all this stuff, but then I didn't realize when the walls were finished that it wasn't going to be 20 feet anymore. So that was hard for me. So making rooms, like each floor is basically like one room in the front, one room in the back, except for this one is like 3. So making rooms is a challenge, I think. And
the circulation required for the staircase and the elevator,
yeah,
it takes up a lot of space.
it's true.
Right.
Now we're coming into the guest room, which is not your typical guest room. I'd say we're kind of inspired by Grandma Chic, right? But it's a room
That's
for
who's going to really be in this
right,
room.
right.
All the grandmas.
Grandmas, exactly. It's a room for guests. We use a Timber Species wallpaper. We love Timber Species, so it's another British designer, and also Trisha Guild headboard fabric, which I love, and I found this. It was my idea.
That's true.
So, score for me. And we did the same thing on the matching chair, just to tie it together. And just like really simple. It's just like a really pretty room, but like updated version.
I love this photo that Raymond found for me. This is funny.
That's the Holland.
Do you know though
Yeah,
why
this
you
is
found this?
this is from Clamp Art. I forgot why I found it, but we needed something to go in the bookcase in your old apartment. I remember
We
that.
had a photo shoot about to happen in our old apartment
Oh, right.
for a magazine, and we really needed something to ground like the bookshelf.
Yeah.
And you like brought this over. I'm like, this is amazing. Again, like our art
Yeah.
interest aligned, but like I had no choice because the photo was being taken that day. But I was like, can I keep it? Like this is amazing.
Yeah, this is
So
from
I've
Clamp
had it
Art.
forever, 15 years.
It's a great gallery, and this artist, she does like, her name is Rachel Hullen. She does all these like floating babies and floating children kind of things. As they get bigger, they get more dramatic, but I think this is great. And then wedding photos.
Oh yeah. We got married on my family's farm in Alabama. And so these are some shots of our barn and us at our reception. But this is I've had these photos for a really long time. They used to be in hallways.
Yeah.
Again, like we're just trying to like repurpose some things, you know,
Right.
that we could in the house.
And
so.
hide them from people too. Like family photos and stuff I'm not really big on.
No, family photos are definitely restricted to bedroom areas for sure. And because the only people really in here are our family members,
Yeah.
they love this.
It's nice.
Well, it is interesting when you own your own home in the city, like, right, you're responsible for the envelope of the building, for the exterior, for even the sidewalk in New York City. You're responsible for the sidewalk that runs in front of your house. So, I mean, I've always embraced that. I mean, I lived in co-ops prior to this, and I was always on the board, and I was always the person tasked with, like, if there was a problem with the exterior, I had to like come up with ways we're going to fix it and hire contractors. So I wasn't intimidated by that. I think some people do get intimidated by that.
Yeah.
But I actually love being like in charge of my own space, and it's really amazing. Like when you own every inch of, you know, the property, you know, you can do with it what you want, and also like where you put your trash at night, where, you know, all these things like just become like your own choice, and I really liked that about it.
Yeah, it's like freedom and responsibility at the same time.
But I always had the responsibility, I felt like, so now I have the
Yeah,
freedom.
you have the freedom too. Right up the guest room is the powder room. This room we decided to use another Timorous Beasties wallpaper. And this one has a really large repeat, so it took some convincing to get Misty to agree to it, because you don't really see the full repeat because there's like one tree here, and then half a tree here. One great thing about this powder room is that there's actually a hidden shower in this, so it becomes a guest bathroom. Now we're going to the primary bedroom. This room is one of my favorite rooms in the house. We had interesting time coming up with a color for this room. We both like purples and blues and stuff, so we tried out a lot of purples and blues, and we landed with this color called Flower Box by Benjamin Moore, which I think we both love.
It has kind of a grape ape element to it, if
Yeah.
anyone remembers that from the 70s or 80s, but I think it's just the right blend. And it also has a nod to a real gray undertone, which we have elsewhere in the house, so I feel like it made it feel consistent without being just like this crazy purple room.
Yeah, sometimes it feels gray, sometimes it feels purple, sometimes it feels blue.
Yep.
And it's interesting, one of the things that made it from the old apartment is this chair, which we had reupholstered.
I think that's the third incarnation of that chair.
Which is really cool, and it worked in this room really well because this color story is kind of like my vibe, for sure. That piece of art is cool. That's from an Affordable Arts Fair too, right? Mm-hmm. Affordable Arts Fair. You have to check it out. This is Andy Dixon.
Yes.
The very controversial painting.
So I will say, I found this at an Affordable Arts Fair before I knew Rayman. I bought it before I knew Rayman. And it's by Canadian artist Andy Dixon. He's actually become quite famous. It's probably the most valuable piece of art I own now. But I will say almost every single person who's ever seen it has said, "What is that?" No one likes it. And Rayman wasn't super excited about it when he first met it. But I think you've come to embrace it now.
Yeah, I
and
like it now.
he reached out to you on Instagram as well to
he's
say,
also
like,
reached
I
out.
can't believe you have this piece. Because I think this is one of his first pieces that, I mean, the gallery that carrying it at the time has never gotten another collection of his since.
Yeah, and I think it really ties the room together. I mean, a lot of the colors in this painting are the colors that inspired this room, so it was a perfect place for it, actually. This with the curtains, which is Creations Balmain. These curtains work so well with it. It all feels like kind of English, manor housey kind of thing, but like turn on its ear, you know? It's just like a twist. The bed is Restoration Hardware, yeah.
Oh, actually, we didn't recover it.
No, that actually was one of the options.
Right. Usually we buy things from Restoration Hardware, Crate and Barrel, something like that, and we will custom cover it. But in this case,
we didn't, yeah.
We didn't.
This room was challenging, I think, because it was like small but big. And we wanted a seating area and a bed area, but we worked it out, and we have this beautiful fireplace. So we wanted everything to like kind of like work together. It was a challenge because to get the room, this is the width of the townhouse, right? Mm-hmm. To get this width, we had to like kind of like layer the furniture into the room and create this little love seat area, which I've always wanted. I love it when you have this kind of hotel and you have like a little place to sit. And there's like a little fireplace and the whole vibe. One funny thing about this is like all of these pillows, like Misty's husband, like we spend so much money decorating like all of their apartments. And every time I say we're gonna reuse that. And this time we actually did. We reused these pillows from their old den, which did cost a fortune. We reused them again. So I was right, we reused them. These are all Designer Guild fabrics. And we just kind of like mixed them. These tables are from Made Goods. They're resin.
They're incredibly light.
They look heavy, but they're really light.
You can lift it with one hand.
These are made with resin. But Made Goods is a really great resource for this kind of thing. So it looks like it's some kind of stone.
They have some depth to them, but I don't know. They just sort of, they give some interest to the room.
Yeah.
We put our coffee on it in the morning.
There's no TV in here,
no.
Which I was really happy about. But like you could sit here and like read a book. Read a book.
This is where we have our coffee in the morning with our dog. When we were looking for a house, we didn't much care what the interior looked like or any configuration of the interior because we knew from the beginning we were going to gut renovate anything we found. So really we were just looking for a location and the width of the house, because in New York City, the width of a townhouse is like critical to really being able to, you know, get out of it what you need. So we were really just focused on width, depth, and location. So that's how we chose this house. But this house was originally a 2-family. There was a kitchen on the top floor, there was a kitchen on the bottom floor. It's nothing like what you see now. In fact, a woman was standing outside my house one day and asked me, do I live here? And I said yes, and she actually lived in the top apartment and got married on the stoop. So she asked if she could come in, and I gave her a tour, and you know, the only thing that looked familiar to her was the garden. So, and even we changed that, but so it's not recognizable from when we first came here.
This house has been totally transformed. I mean, one of the big changes and probably the best thing about this is that the kitchen, which used to be like down on the garden level, is now on the main floor. So it's a really light and bright area now. And this whole floor used to be separate rooms, and now it's like one big room, like a loft, which they lived in a loft before. So a loft feeling is something that they're really familiar with. And I think it's something you don't always see in the townhouses, this openness and brightness.
Yeah, I think we both instantly agreed the kitchen needed to move.
Yeah.
And actually talked to my real estate agent about it for resale purposes, and he didn't think it was the best idea. But I think it's like hands down one of the best ideas we made, even though it wasn't popular at the time.
I agree. I think a lot of people are stuck in the past and they think the kitchen belongs downstairs, but like that's not how we live now. People don't want to be away from their families when they're cooking and then like go upstairs to like a dining room. I don't even know how that would work, actually.
I know. I will say too, when Rayman and I first conceived of any townhouse, whether it was this one or any other one, along the way, I think we both agreed we wanted to keep it somewhat referential to the past.
Yeah.
But modernize it. So like we didn't do a steel and glass staircase. We actually mimicked what sort of was here before, and we had it, you know, made.
Yeah.
And we kept the newel post. We tried to keep as much of the original detail as we could. All the moldings are new, but they're all referential of what would have been here when this was built in the late 1800s. But then, of course, you'll look around, and obviously all the furnishings are modern. So we wanted to kind of play with that juxtaposition.
It's kind of a mix. It's true. Like the original staircase was kind of a mess, so it had to get ripped out, and then we replaced it with something that looked really similar to what was there. So, but then we painted it black, so it's kind of a modern take on tradition.
Yes, also not a favorite of most people when they heard that we were going to paint it black.
Yeah, people have no vision. They have no vision. They didn't want a black kitchen either.
They didn't want a black kitchen either.
Yeah, they had to fight for the black kitchen.
Yes.
Let's go into the dressing room. This room was a lot of fun to create. We did this Carrie Brown wallpaper on the ceiling. Again, I love Carrie Brown. This light fixture from Visual Comfort. Agreeing on a color was kind of challenging.
Tough, yeah. I didn't want to commit to all this built-in millwork in a really avant-garde color because I thought for resale that wouldn't be the wisest decision. But
Right.
so we kind of found this purple that really reads gray.
Yeah.
It really actually reads more purple because we have a purple rug in here now. But I think if we were to change the rug.
Yeah.
So it was
would
kind of
read
a
gray.
compromise. Raymond really wanted to go purple.
I wanted to go really strong purple like in the other room. But I think this is like Misty Lilac or something like
Yeah,
that
I
from
don't
Benjamin Moore. And it is laying in between purple and gray, but
Yeah.
you kind of know it's purple.
Yes.
And I think it suits the room. You know, like we both love fashion, so there's like lots and lots of fashion references, lots of bags and stuff. So this was like, I was really excited to do like a closet and like a little dressing area, show off all the bags. What about this? I bought this.
Yeah, Raymond wants to point out the Birkin that he helped my husband purchase, which is one of my favorite bags.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love this. You know what I love about this space more than anything is the ceiling height. I kind of fought really hard to get the ceiling height. A lot of people didn't think that was the right move for such a small space. But I think it's always given a grandeur to this closet that's really unexpected.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it makes it feel like it wasn't meant to be that way. I think it actually, because of sort of the open shelving and everything, your eye is drawn up to the wallpaper. I don't know. It feels like it was meant to be this tall.
It's
but
true.
I think conventional wisdom would have said to lower the ceiling in a closet.
I think that this is great. I think the key to this room is it's actually really not that big. It's like 10 by 9 or something like that, but it doesn't feel small. It feels like a room where you want to like live in here. I love my closet, so closets are really important to me. And I love looking at all my stuff. So I like all the idea of all the open shelves and like being able to see all your stuff, you know, even when you're not using it.
I think a lot of people, like, this is like sort of the enviable, like, to have a big
Yeah.
closet. Like most closets in Manhattan aren't this like open. They're not as spacious,
I
right?
think people would kill for a closet like this. That's the thing. Like my closet is tiny, but I have a lot of clothes. So yeah, I would kill for a closet like this too. So I think it's the most desirable thing. I think it's rare to have this in a brownstone. Even in a townhouse like this, you wouldn't really allocate this much space for clothes.
Yeah. I
Unless
think
you
a
love
lot-
clothes.
Right. A lot of people would design the primary floor to be the primary bedroom, and then this would be the bathroom. And then on the other side, they would have another bedroom with a small attached bathroom.
Yeah.
We decided we really wanted to commit to this being the primary floor, which left, and also wanted the natural light in the bathroom. So
Yeah.
it left this sort of middle space, which might have been occupied by a bathroom in other townhouses, to be a closet, which we just thought was
true.
extra special.
Let's go to the primary bathroom. This room is all white, which I love a white bathroom. So this was like not a big fight between us because we both agreed that the bathroom should be white. And we did some really cool things. We did a really nice floor from Tile Bar, and we did this custom marble, which Misty found again.
Well, I think what's funny is we actually envisioned this to be
We wanted
breccia.
lilac at first and then
Lilac,
breccia the
breccia.
second time. Yeah,
And
'cause dental
but when we
lions.
ended up with this floor that we both were obsessed with, I went to the stone yards and started looking for the breccia and the lilac, and it just wasn't making any sense.
It didn't make sense, yeah.
And finally, I was just like, we can't do that. So we have to figure out something else. But I didn't want to just use Carrera.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go with a Calcutta that had like a brown hue to it, because
Right.
we wanted to keep this really white. So that's sort of like how this came to be.
Yeah, this is bath stone too.
This is bath stone, yes. And I really love how thick this is. Like I really have rarely seen this sort of thickness on a countertop.
Yeah, this is another thing where we mitered it to make it look like it's really a
Right.
thick piece of marble. And I think it's really effective. I think it's only the first time I've ever done it. I did it again in a show house, but this worked out great.
And we also had a decision to make about the shower.
Yeah.
Because the architect had suggested maybe we drop the ceiling. Like traditionally you might drop the ceiling over a shower.
Yeah, I didn't want that.
And, you know, actually contain it, like that the glass would stop at the ceiling height. But we did many mock-ups and decided that we wanted to just kind of disappear. Like we wanted the room to sort of like you see through the shower to create a sense of space. So that's how we ended up with this.
It's more open, and like you want the high ceilings, and we didn't have room for chrome molding around the windows, so we did like chrome molding here, and the windows have like this really cool little detail.
Never to be used, but it's very
This
pretty.
brownstone was really easy to choose because we both agreed very quickly what it should look like. It was...
Well, we actually picked, I don't know if you remember, we picked a different one. And it weighed 700 pounds.
Oh, right.
And we're on the 3rd floor, for those at home. So getting a 700-pound bathtub up to the 3rd floor was challenging. And we actually tried to hoist it through windows, and we weren't sure it was going to fit.
Right.
So we had to kind of go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And find something that was light enough.
This looks really similar.
It does.
It looks really similar, and it's acrylic. But it's great. And it's a nice moment by the window. This photo used to belong to me.
And I tried to steal it for years.
This is a photo by Leonard Gnomes from the 70s. It's from GQ magazine. And it used to be in my apartment, and she was like, I really like that photo. When are you gonna sell it to me? And I was like, never. I really don't want to.
Didn't you put it? It was in a showcase.
And then I used it in a show house in the Hamptons, and she saw it again.
And I was really upset that he used it in the Hamptons showcase house.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? You're not even using it in your apartment now. You should
I
sell
know.
it to me. So he actually, I don't even think you told me. You surprised me with it and brought it to my house.
I did. Because I was like, okay, just take it. But it's cool. I love this photo, and I think it's like really great, like in a bathroom.
And now we're entering one of my daughter's rooms. It's cleaner than the other one because this daughter is at college and doesn't live here anymore. Anyway, both of my kids feel really strongly now that they're somewhat adults, that they get a say in what their room looks like, much to the chagrin of myself and Rayman.
Yeah.
So it's always a little bit of a negotiation. For instance, the color of the walls in this room were specifically picked by my daughter. Neither Rayman nor I liked the color at the time. I think Raymond decided it's grown on him. And then, you know, all the art, everything is specific to her. So while Raymond sources things, you know, it's like a pitch that he has to make every time. So she's really into Formula One, so she's got some Formula One car prints. This particular print just appealed to her. You know, it's just, basically though, the room was really dictated because this is one of the existing fireplaces, and it's the only mantle that survived that we could actually use. So we didn't want to destroy it, but it really meant that the room layout was dictated by where it existed. And we had this professionally cleaned. It looked terrible when we bought the house, and we were amazed at how well it turned out.
Yeah, it's a really cool room. I think with teenagers, it's always a compromise. I had to give in a lot to what I wanted. But in the end, I think this room feels very her, and I think it feels very happy, and I think you could see that I had a hand in doing it. It's like a little bit bohemian, a little bit fun. We did a lot of fun pillows and a lot of like good vibes. But I think, you know, with kids, you have to like give them what they want. Designing for a teenager is probably the hardest job in interior design, because I think what happens is, like, I grew up with these kids, or they grew up with me rather, and they started out as like really small and very agreeable, and then they started to have their own personalities, and then they're like, okay, I like this, I like that. Like, I remember last time I did Carolina's room, she liked pink, like pink, and everything was pink. We did a whole pink room, like
bright pink.
Bright pink. And now she likes yellow. You know, it's not my favorite color, but I think this yellow works. I get where she's coming from. It's kind of 70s, which I love, and I love the idea. I mean, we both agreed on this photo. We found it on Minted, and it took a while to find something that she really, really liked, but I wanted something really big over the bed because the bed's so minimal. So I think it's a dance with kids, you know, not kids, but teenagers, young adults. It's a dance. home is a place that when you have to go there, they have to let you in.
I think home means something specific to me because I've lived in New York for so long. So I think home in New York is a respite from the craziness of outside, the chaoticness of our environment. So like when I'm home, I just want it to be quiet, serene, comfortable. Like I just need the escape. So that's what I think of when I think of my home.
That's nice. You know, it's funny because we're both from Alabama, but we both live in New York now. You know, it's like such a different environment. And I think in New York you need a haven. So I think home is like a haven from whatever's going on outside. I love living here, but you need to get away from it sometimes.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.